Welcome to the Authentic Change Podcast. I'm Mike Horne, your host, and this podcast is for leaders and coaches who need and want fresh perspectives on what it means to live and to lead authentically. You're a leader who wants to make a difference, but sometimes you feel stuck. You know there's more to life and to leadership than what you're currently experiencing. It can be tough to figure out how to grow as a leader. You might be reading all the blogs and books, but it still feels like you're not making progress. You might even be feeling like you're doing everything wrong. On Authentic Change with Mike Horne, we interview experts who share their insights on how to live and lead authentically. Our guests are trendsetters in building great leaders, teams, and organizations. We provide fresh perspectives on what it means to live with purpose and authenticity. Welcome to this episode of the Authentic Change Podcast.
Welcome to this episode of Authentic Change with Mike Horne. I'm absolutely delighted to be trying out something new in a continuing effort to bring more value to all of you who listen to the podcast. I am humbly grateful for all of your support and listenership. And what I'm trying out today is I'm trying out some new software for recording on the podcast. And I am taking an additional approach, an additional stab, I might say, at doing a solo episode. And this time it's a book review, just as it was the first time. In the first solo episode that I did just a few episodes in the past, which I'd encourage you to visit if you want to learn about positive psychology and its influence in coaching with Shirzad Chamaine's work, and which will have certification in PQ coaching, positive psychology coaching, by the end of the year. But all of that aside, I want to say this is a second book review. And today I am going to review Becoming Coachable by Scott Osmond, Jacqueline Lane, and Marshall Goldsmith. And many of you will recognize Marshall Goldsmith, the founder of the Marshall Goldsmith Group and 100 Coaches. He was the inaugural winner of the Lifetime Achievement Award by the Institute of Coaching at Harvard Medical School and a Thinkers 50 Management Hall of Fame inductee, and has advised more than 200 major CEOs and their management teams over the course of his career. Also a New York Times best-selling author and an author of more than 35 books, including What Got You Here Won't Get You There. And I'm very pleased to say that my last book, Integrity by Design, Working and Living Authentically, was endorsed by Marshall Goldsmith. And at the time when Integrity by Design was published, just maybe about 24 months ago, Marshall said that Integrity by Design is a lesson in authenticity. Read it, and it may change the way you lead in life. So I was very happy to have Marshall's endorsement for my book, Integrity by Design, Working and Living Authentically, which you can is still available to you on Amazon. If you'd like to read a sample chapter, please download it at my website. It's a good collateral for today's topic, which is Becoming Coachable, again by Scott Osmond, Jacqueline Lane, and Marshall Goldsmith. It came to the shelves recently, September of this year. And I think that, I'll just read a little bit about what Amazon has to say about Becoming Coachable, because I think it's a good summary. And what they say is, quote, good leaders maintain steady teams, achieve reasonable growth, and are comfortable in their authority. But great leaders recognize that unparalleled success comes from always seeking to improve. The stakes of leadership are higher than ever, and operating with maximum effectiveness is not only desirable, but also imperative. So this just, end of quote, this just gives you some insight into what the authors are bringing in terms of leadership. And I think it's so, in so many ways, similar to the work that I do influenced by many others in this authentic leadership movement, helping people to step into their potential, to embrace their sages, to avoid their saboteurs, to understand and overcome their immunities to change in the work that I do as a coach, using Bob Keegan and Lisa Leahy's methods. I'm really so privileged to coach scientists and engineers and technologists. And that's why I think this book called to me, this book that came out in September, Becoming Coachable, because it is about, the subtitle of this book is Unleashing the Power of Executive Coaching to Transform Your Leadership and Life. So let's just break that down in terms of Mike Horne. And what does that mean when you're engaged with Mike Horne working as an executive coach to you one-on-one, or as a coach to you or in your team, or in an organization development capacity? Because that is, me, an executive coach, an organization development coach. So I was so curious, about this leadership and life connection, because that's what I've always said, is that there is really, work-life balance doesn't exist. What we look for, what we should encourage the people we're developing, is to seek effective blends. And that's what I work with my clients is, sometimes it's, let's just get down to the business and all this other stuff that might be going on in life about forming families, unforming families. It's all present in the coaching experience. And I like to listen for what my clients have to say about that, because leadership in life, and here we are in a book, Becoming Coachable, talking about using the power of executive coaching to transform your leadership in life. And I think about how the field of executive development has changed and has stayed the same in many ways. I led for Marriott International for several years residential executive development programs, and we went to this beautiful spot that Marriott had some interest in on the Wye River in Maryland, so fairly close to Washington, D.C., but certainly a country feel. Once you were out on this piece of property on the Wye River, gorgeous. And we would run these week-long residential programs, bring in some talking heads, and I got to know some great people at that time because I was working with Steve Covey, Chip Bell, many others who were helping to create learning for our Marriott leaders, and certainly a way that we created reflection at that time. I also think probably the reflection might have been a little better. It may have been in the pre-phone era, pre-portable phone era. But, leading executive development there, when we thought about development cycles, is very long. People tended to have long careers in that big organization, to working more intimately and more familiarly with executive teams later at Marriott, and later at Nortel Networks, certainly at Roche Pharmaceuticals, to work with these executive teams, doing very important and interesting, engaging work. And also at Gilead with a research team that was there. So, this is why this has a lot of appeal to me about how we think about executive coaching and what good leaders do, because in a way, in this post-pandemic, multi-generational workplace that we have, we need ways to create trust and to build relationships with people in order to accomplish great things, particularly in a world increasingly influenced by artificial intelligence and its uses and applications. So really want to think about the highlights of what this means for us, and therefore, come back to this topic about unleashing the power of executive coaching and what that means for everyone on our show, whether you're an HR leader or an R&D leader, because you came through client work. So important to see this in. And again, I'd say as we discuss becoming coachable, go visit mike-horne.com and also download a sample chapter of Integrity by Design, because I think it's a good companion piece. And if you don't download that, I'd suggest that you download one of the 52 meditations guides. As we come to the end of the year, it's a great reflection tool to have, nice gift to give to somebody, 52 meditations. So just a way of thinking about that. I have meditations on working and living on authentically and on organizational integrity and transition. So let's come to think about this again. And I think one of the things that the book does is it really encourages us to embrace a growth mindset, to become simply a person who's not led, but instead a person open to learning, adapting, and evolving in their personal and professional spheres. One of the things that I did in this past week, the week that I'm recording the podcast, is I spoke at the 20th American Pharma and Biotech Product and Portfolio Managers Conference in San Francisco, a lovely conference that was on the 6th, that was in mid-November, around the same time as the APEC conference in San Francisco. At the same time, during the same time. But I spoke I was a guest speaker, and invited guest speaker at the 20th American Pharma and Biotech PPM conference. And my topic there was on developing a people-centered workplace and being transition ready. And I think that's certainly, as I think about executive coaching, many of my clients are in some sort of transition, or they're imagining they have a vision towards a new possibility, a new career future. One of the folks that I'm working with right now is interested, in expanding and using her skills and talents in science and extending those to a broader benefit in business. So very exciting to work on that. And that's an example of the kind of leaders that I work with who are really charting new courses for themselves and for the people they work with. So important to have a support network. And I hope that, that's one of the things that we offer here, is that by engaging with our community on the blog, engaging with us on the podcast, you feel part of this community of people-centered leadership. And what we're working towards is producing dividends with people. We're no stranger to for-profit enterprises. We need to think creatively about that and really work on extracting, in valuing, in delivering people dividends that will pay off in so many ways. And I'm so excited that we'll be launching the People's Dividend next year as we enter the 6th season of podcasting. It'll just be fascinating, I think, for you and for me, as we chart some new journeys. And, this is about what Becoming Coachable talks about, is embracing this growth mindset. But what we've been doing on Authentic Change here for 5 seasons now is really exploring the secrets of authentic leadership. If you want to be a decent leader, you need to be known for managing your teams effectively, promoting growth, exhibiting confidence in your authority and your power and accountability and what that means. But on the quest for this sort of remarkable success, because working with remarkable people comes an enormous continuous cycle of self-improvement where coaching comes into play, and operating at peak efficiency. It's not just something that we desire. It's almost downright necessary in the pace, in the speed at which innovation occurs. So what I have found among certainly influential leaders worldwide with whom I have worked is recognition of the power of coachability. And that's what I can bring. First and foremost, I'm a pro. That's what my clients say, and bring a nice balance between process and content. And you can, always read more about me at mike-horne.com. But as we go through to this, I invite you to think about what your journey of self-improvement is and how you're investing in yourself to contribute more to your organization, to your team, and to your community. Community is is central to work experience, or to effective, or to high performing, or to high return, high dividend work in organization, and to stakeholders, that it's so important that we be thinking about embarking on these journeys of self-discovery that executive coaching brings in. I think that's, what Marshall Goldsmith and his colleagues do in this book is they continue to identify some of the key leadership archetypes and unravel the complexities of a typical coaching engagement. It's very worthwhile to read this, whether you're a coach or whether you're a client or an executive, and to some wonderful reviews on the book. And I think we're asking a question: is how do we use growth as an invitation to transcend our leadership impact beyond the personal realm? And this book can, certainly help, as is the coaching and, my last book, Integrity by Design, all designed with a similar desire to add value to individuals and to the teams in which they serve and lead and have an opportunity to engage and deliver some great things. So, we are always talking, as does Becoming Coachable, about the power of self-awareness and how that is, it's so important to know yourself in order to grow others. And there are plenty of examples that they bring, and some techniques that will help you on this journey of self-discovery that I think you can only get when you work directly one-on-one with a coach like myself. And that's what I'd encourage you. If you need a strategy call, if you need a strategy session, if you're thinking about coaching, let's talk on this topic of becoming coachable and what it means to be self-aware. And this is an ability as a leader to be empathic, to explore the territory of becoming a better leader without losing sight of your individuality, your values, and have some tools to overcome whatever limitations or baggage or luggage that may be holding you back from stepping into a better version of yourself, a better future for yourself and for your team. So we really love to explore this concept of authentic, which I talk about the congruency between what we say, what we do, and what we think. And when that congruency exists, happiness is produced. That is a goal of coaching in my world, is some measure of happiness. Others might describe it as less suffering. But this ability to transform a leadership style to enhance your life, executive coaching, can be an invaluable resource. And I think there are some great tips in Becoming Coachable about that journey. And, we keep going for people who are aiming to transform their leadership style, to enhance their life, and to make the quest to be a better leader and a better person at the same time. And that all of us can discover the power of becoming coachable. And I think that's one of the lovely thoughts that comes out of this book. And, if I think about some of Marshall, one of the co-authors of this book, he has other influential books, Triggers, What Got You Here Won't Get You There, some of these classics. They're distinguishable from this book. Triggers really, for me at least, looked into the psychological underpinnings that prompt behavior and what we can do about them for growth. And What Got You Here Won't Get You There was really around some of the pitfalls that leaders fall into. And this really takes a different angle, Becoming Coachable, delving into receptivity to change, learning, an aspect of leadership, as many of you know, which is often overlooked, particularly my human resources colleagues on this podcast who have great insight into that. And I'd encourage them, I'd love to have a call with you, a strategy session, to talk about how do we create these cultures, or at least invite an invitation to one person to become coachable. And I think that, if I think about integrity by design, if you want to pick it up, for 2023 stocking stuffers for your teams, something that you might form a book club around at the beginning of the year, that what I did in integrity by design, working, living authentically, it sort of centers around the notion that success in any realm begins and ends with integrity of whole cloth, of being more of who you are, bringing more of who you are. And I think, how do you bring your best to every situation? That's what I posit. That's what I challenge readers to do in Integrity by Design, and certainly what I invite you to be in discussion with me in the work. And in Integrity by Design, it was a call to action for our higher purpose, the aspiration to work and to live authentically and to design a life with integrity. Because I believe that every possibility for success begins with a life design with integrity. And if you're on a quest for authenticity and leadership in your life, think about adding this, picking it up over the holiday period at the beginning of the year on Integrity by Design. And I'd love to talk with you and think about how we might turn that into a discussion in your organization or with your team. So again, inviting you to, pull out some of the tools on mikehorne.com, 52 meditations, sample book chapter, so that you'll join a community of people that we're building who are interested in this people dividend and getting the best out of our own selves with self-awareness, but also having a fresh lens into leadership and growth in today's changing world. So we're very excited. I'm very excited you continue to inspire me with all of your leadership journals. Thanks for writing, emailing, being engaged. And again, I'd encourage you to interact with me, visit me, email me, but find me at mike-horne.com. And let's get the conversation going on the topic of leadership and personal growth. Check out other episodes of the podcast. Check out my weekly blog post on mike-horne.com. And what I'm going to say as we close out this podcast is thank you so much for joining me on this journey towards authentic and transformative leadership. And let's keep striving for a world where integrity, authenticity, and growth are at the core of all of our actions and decisions. Don't forget to check out the show notes. You'll find all of the important links for you. And again, until the next episode, stay well.
Thank you for listening to the Authentic Change podcast. I'm delighted that you've tuned in to listen. Please visit the show notes for links to topics discussed in today's podcast. To download a free ebook on authentic change and leadership and to subscribe to my newsletter, please visit mike-horne.com. Once again, mike-horne.com, mike-horne.com. Once again, thank you for listening to the Authentic Change podcast.